Interspecies interactions mediated by technology, an avian case study at the zoo. Enrichment is a methodology for caregivers to improve well-being of zoo animals. Although many species rely on auditory senses, sonic enrichment is rarely implemented. Designing interactive sonic enrichment systems for animals presents unique ergonomic, ethical, and agency-related challenges. We developed and deployed 2 novel interventions at the San Diego Safari Park to allow a music-savvy Yacente macaw named Samson to gain control over his sonic environment. Our results suggest that the bird uses, understands, and benefits from the system, and that visitors play a major role in Samson's engagement with this technology. Enrichment techniques used today include enclosure design, toys, food delivery, adapted puzzles, co-housing different species, and sensory stimuli. Hearing is a dominant sense for many species, and previous studies have evaluated the benefit of music in enhancing the welfare of captive animals. But most existing studies mainly focus on static recordings, controlled by experimenters, and thus do not provide insight into the effect of sonic interactivity. In this project, we tackle this gap in research by demonstrating instances of interactive sonic stimuli. Certain human-animal interactions offer possible benefits for zoo animals. Primates and birds are aware of the impact of their action on others' behaviors and are able to grasp visitors' attention and engage socially. Such human-animal relationships relate to general social and communicative needs. Parrots are especially known for their needs for interaction and attention, often interpreted as showing off. To attract visitors, they will look at them, call, nod, bob their head, and flap their wings. Such performative behaviors reflect the importance of attention and companionship. Advances in technology can play an important role in creating enrichment systems for zoo animals. This need arises from the limited time that caregivers can spend with each animal. However, we believe that it is less desirable to provide a digital system for the animal to use in isolation than to design experiences that function in a social context while giving more control to the animals. Some of the most interesting work involving animals and digital technology are the ones that acknowledge the role played by humans in animal environments. Previous HCI animal work has curated the human's role to appeal to the specific animal or species, from a challenging play partner, to an empathetic audience, to a conversational partner, or a provider or remote petting. Such approaches have the potential to lead to higher level of human-animal interaction, playfulness, and energy expenditure. Samson is a Yacente macaw living at the San Diego Safari Park. According to his expert caregivers, the bird loves music and has specific musical tastes depending on his mood. His caregivers provide music for him occasionally during care sessions, but were seeking ways for the bird to trigger music by and for himself. With the help of animal experts and zoo professionals, we designed and deployed 2 interactive musical systems to allow Samson to control and play music. Our design objectives were for our system to be ergonomic, ethical, engaging, understandable, and agency-enhancing. We deployed our 2 interventions called Joy Branch and Bob Trigger and studied the way the bird uses the systems as well as the influence of the visitors on the bird's interaction with technology. We built a physical joystick-based interface called the Joy Branch. We installed the Joy Branch in Samson's enclosure 1 hour each day for 4 days. The Joy Branch is safe and simple. The music fades out over a period of seconds in the absence of interaction. At first, Samson was shy and observed the object at a distance.
What keeps the planet spinning? What's in the beginning? Look.
Samson liked the branch and the music, but didn't yet make a connection between them. The second day, Samson was less shy and exhibited a lot of nibbling behaviors, natural behavior associated with big grooming. The nibbling soon evolved into shorter pecking movements. Finally, he exhibited a new behavior not previously observed by his keepers by holding the branch still for extended periods of time. As Samson likes to dance, we also experimented with a visual clue-based system that initiates and maintains music as long as he is dancing. We observed that the visitors played a major role in the bird's engagement with the systems. Samson seldom danced when no one was there to see him and engage with him. As shown in the video, the first system we developed is a physical device called a joy branch. It consists of a joystick mechanism embedded within a wooden log that was placed inside his enclosure. The goal was to naturally entice the bird to interact and create a clear connection between his actions and music activation. The design was inspired by existing low-tech enrichment techniques familiar to the bird. The dimensions and affordances are chosen to be ergonomic and matching Samson's size. When the bird manipulates the joystick with his feet or beak, music begins to play. When the stick is released, music continues for 10 seconds and then fades out. For the second intervention, called bob trigger, music is activated each time the bird bobs his head. If the bobbing stops for more than 10 seconds, the music fades. The bob trigger intervention doesn't require any element to be placed inside the enclosure and reinforces the bird bobbing behavior commonly associated with positive engagement. Ethics are considered by only playing and maintaining the music when the bird actively bobs and expresses engagement. This provided the bird with a metaphorical off button, so the music would not play for long periods of time. For each session, we selected one of 5 heavy beat songs pre-approved by Samson's expert zookeepers. This project is shaped by existing enrichment practices, interview, constraints, related work, and feedback from animal experts and zoo professionals. Additional consideration on how such discussions guide our design choices and how those choices map to our design objectives can be found in the paper. We ran an initial baseline prior to intervention, then deployed the intervention for 4 consecutive days, followed by a final baseline session. During the 4 intervention days, each session lasted for 45 minutes to an hour. To gather feedback on the animal's reaction to the interventions, we observed and labeled a series of different events and behaviors using a semi-assisted manual labeling interface. From the videos and field notes, we labeled 10 different behaviors from the bird, represented here on the Valence arousal scale: preening, feather puffing, stretching, standing on one leg, vocalizing, head bobbing, head nodding, head whips, eating, and nibbling. We also recorded instances of music being triggered and for how long. We labeled a total of 1,645 unique events and behaviors. We also collected information on the attention between visitors, Samson, and the experimenter. The methods for such labeling were approved by several animal experts. From a typical example of a session, we can suggest insights into some of the bird's behaviors. For instance, the bird attention is often brief and tends to alternate between the experimenter and the visitors. Visitors' attention is more sustained. The correspondence between bobbing and music is causal. In this case, the music was triggered by the head bobs. Bobbing behaviors tend to occur in groups and appeared reinforced by the music. Longer periods of visitor attention coincide with music playing. In the following, we explore correlation and potential causality. We were interested in assessing whether and how the bird used the system. For the joy branch, we noted each time the bird triggered the music, for how long and in which way. The bird triggered the music for a total of 33 times over 4 days, for a total of 31 minutes and 33 seconds. The bird used 20% of his time interacting with the device, and the duration of each trigger got longer over time, which suggests increased interest. Without instruction, the bird found 4 ways to interact with the branch, starting with natural nibbling behavior on day 1 to shorter poking on day 2. Then he exhibited a novel behavior in holding the branch for extended amount of time. On day 3, he started holding it with his feet, enabling him to also look around while the music was playing. Zoo visitor represent an important component of Samson's life. During baseline recording, the bird spends around half of his time observing and paying attention to visitors. Although visitor attention is directed toward the bird about 51% of the time, only 22% of the total time is composed of mutual attention between visitors and bird. This can be explained by several factors. The bird seems to have preferences in which visitor or group of visitors he dedicates attention to. However, the bottleneck also comes from visitors, as they have the agency to walk away. Indeed, during baseline, 80% of the instances of mutual attention ended with the visitors walking away while the bird was still looking at them. To test whether the attention dynamic was modified by the technological intervention, we compared the average duration of visitor attention toward the bird during baseline, during the intervention while music was not playing, and while music was playing. A Mann-Whitney U-test indicated that the duration of visitor attention was significantly greater when the bird triggered music than when no music was playing. In addition, the trigger of the music also influenced the attention dynamics. During baseline, and when no music was playing, mutual attention moments were most often ended by the visitors at 80% of the time. However, when the bird was playing music, this number dropped to 25%. This suggests that the bird has gained more control over the interaction and is now the one who decides when to end the interaction. Playing music is a successful way to keep the public interested. Future iteration of the project would also need to take into account additional parameters that may influence the birds' and visitors' behaviors. This work also has clear limitation in the deployment to only one bird. Future work on a larger set of species and individuals is needed to generalize the results. However, the focus and personalized character of this work is what allowed us to take advantage of the individual experience of Samson and take the time to engage in a dialogue with the animal. Additional discussion on novelty effect, attachment, and ethics are presented in the paper. In conclusion, we created naturalistic interactive systems for a music-savvy macaw to gain control over his sonic environment. The deployment of the 2 interventions brought insight into the acute social awareness of the animal and the triangular interaction between the experimenter, the bird, and the visitors. Our results suggest not only that the bird understands, enjoys, and makes use of the system, but also that the visitors play a major role in the animal's motivation and engagement with the technology. By gaining more control over his sonic environment, Samson effectively gained more control over his interaction with the public. The resulting triangle interaction between the animal, the visitors, and the computer may bring insight into the potential of technology for future interspecies enrichment and communication. You can find our video on YouTube. Thank you for your attention, and we are happy to address questions and feedback by email.